There's a couple of motivations. I think the first one would be, just because I think a lot of musicians are kind of, myself included up until now, are pretty kind of lazy, and I find that I would always come up with these riffs or lyrics or song ideas and just think, oh yeah, I'll work on that later on. And what with all of the resources that we've got, it just doesn't seem like a logical thing just to release an album every couple of years. Pretty soon, you've got a lot of different concepts that are floating around in your head, and you sort of have to lay them to rest in a way. And the more I thought about it, the more it was an interesting thing to do. So I thought this would be a good way to motivate me to get it out there, I guess. So, yeah. The other comment, fuck you. When you look at rock music in the past of the 70s and even the 80s, early 80s, bands would put out something once every 10 months, a year, and then they sort of hit the road, and then, as soon as they get back off from touring, they would get back in the studio again, start writing again. On really old, primitive kind of equipment, which must have taken them forever to do very simple tasks, which you could do within a second nowadays. Having to bounce things down, and I couldn't imagine how difficult it actually would have been. And yet they would put out these albums once a year, full of quality stuff, full of great, timeless even music. And it just doesn't make any sense to me now, with living in the 21st century, with all of these tools, low cost, all of these things that are just readily at our fingertips. Why it takes bands 3-4 years to come up with an album's worth of material. But I think, I don't know, I think every musician is always never short on ideas, and they always wait for this big, burst of creativity that comes from seemingly nowhere, and everybody whinges about being in writer's block. And I think any methods that you can come up with to break yourself out of those traps, I think anyone's capable of it. So I guess doing this 12 in 12 thing will prove to me, at least, that you can put out a lot of quality material in a short amount of time. It comes from all different sources. I listen to a lot of music, and I'm like a sponge, I guess, in a way. Like a lot of people, like a lot of artists and musicians, I guess I draw my inspirations from a lot of different places. Books, television, a lot of music, a lot of varying styles of music as well, and I can always hear something positive about everything that I hear, whether it be country or classical music or heavy metal or pop, just streamlined rock. It's all across the board. So most of, at least musically, there's always plenty of music to listen to that I can steal ideas from. It certainly makes life a lot easier for people who know what they're doing and who are professional and competent, because it sort of sorts the men out from the boys. It's much easier to weed out all of the shit, to put it bluntly, really. That's what's happening, because now if you want to go and see a band, you can just jump on their website, or just jump anywhere and listen to their stuff, and you can hear within the first 5-10 seconds whether it's any good or not. So I think it's easier first of all just to create the music, and second of all to get it into the ears of the listeners. Much easier, all within sitting in the one spot. there will be, at this stage, there'll be 2 CDs that will come out, which will be almost like compilations of the previous 6 months' material. I just think it's easier for people to access it online via the web through downloading. And I think it's much more of a flexible medium, because you can embed artwork and lyrics and all those sorts of things into the tracks themselves, and it's much easier just to smash it onto your MP3 player, your iPod or whatever, as opposed to having to rip it, which basically what people do anyway. They probably, when they buy CDs, they just rip it, listen to it on their computer or put it on their iPod and just store the CD away somewhere. I can only go by what I do personally, and I seriously haven't bought any CDs for a long time, and you know, just with little, you know, iPhones and iPods and whatever, being able to just have access through iTunes and whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know of anyone who sits there with a CD player anymore and just whacks a CD on and listens to it and does nothing else, you know. So it just makes more sense just to put it out digitally in a high bitrate form and just have it there so they can swiftly just put it on their players and away they go. I'm gonna say fuck them. Who are they? Which one? Who the fuck have you been talking to? I'm conflicted. I think it hasn't. I think progressive is a pretty broad term, and I think it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So some of the recent festivals that have been going along the East Coast are a testament to that. I think, you know, to see some of those post-rock bands playing with some really heavy bands with more alternative, you know, you've got a lot of different varying sort of contrasting styles all under that sort of prog banner, which is great. And I think it's a testament to the fans of that kind of stuff, that you know, they can sit there and listen to all that sort of stuff and be entertained by it. You know, so I think it's a very good thing. I don't think it's lost its roots at all. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. Who am I kidding? Basically, at this stage, the first EP, with a few little covers and a few tracks from an earlier band I was in, Template, and we're very much sticking to that kind of heavy hard rock vein, similar to something like, you know, you'd hear from Queen, or sort of that 70s Deep Purple, Zeppelin-y sort of just balls out sort of rock sort of stuff. Something that you'd probably have seen me do. Anyone who saw Template play was, you know, will be interested in seeing this in this new incarnation of the Toehider. There'll also be a few shows where I'll just do a lot of the more acoustic, folky kind of country stuff, solo, just with myself and acoustic guitar. So, you know, because if I try and get the guys in the band to try and learn all this material over the time, it's just going to be a nightmare. And I think it makes sense to keep it kind of coherent in a way on the stage. Depends on what the lineup of the other bands are, though. I'm looking forward to all of them. I'm looking forward and sort of super pumped to not only just to get them done, but to also see what sort of response I get from them. There'll be a sort of Robert Fripp type soundscape sort of thing that I'm going to be doing, which is all going to be completely improvised, which will be great fun. A cheesy kind of power metal album, 70s rock album, and a sort of folk stripped back acoustic guitar and vocal album, an orchestral thing, the Christmas album. Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking forward to all of it, to finish all of it. Santa.
Yeah, 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 yeah.